Good afternoon, everybody. So, really quick, I'm doing this reading. It's pretty quick. I've set nice healing intentions as per the usual. You know how to stand in your power and decree it for only your highest and greatest good. So, today, wow, are we living in a crazy world or what? We are, right? And it's just so, because we're in these revelations, it's really blatant and in our face, right? And we're seeing crazy behavior. Everywhere. It's crazy. It's a crazy world we're living in, and here we are just trying to stay sane through it all. So you have these definite lines that are being crossed, and propaganda that's being told to people, and in my humble opinion, brainwashing happening, teaching people that anyone who discerns or thinks differently than they do are hateful. And I just see it as such a dark agenda. There's also this thing that's incredibly scary to me that I don't like, that I personally am standing up against, and that is the indoctrination of our children to be hypersexualized and to groom them for pedophilia. And there's a real, and also the outward hatred and demoralization that's going on towards women, right? So these things are very concerning to me, and I'm sure concerning to all of you. And, we definitely have some very dark agendas going on, and there's been enough indoctrination going on so that if the dark agenda is coming out of a group, and I'm not saying an entire group, I'm just saying if a group looks like a particular thing, and it's a minority, then we can't call a pedophile because somehow that makes us hateful. So, there's just a lot of dark agenda going on today, you guys. And I don't care what you dress up as. If you are a pedophile, you're a pedophile. You can present yourself as a man, and if you're a pedophile, you're a pedophile. Or a woman, if you're a pedophile, you are a pedophile. You know, I don't care who or what you are, what color you are. I don't care if you're blue, green, yellow, purple. I don't care if you identify or don't identify. I don't care if you're a man dressing up as a girl dressing up as a man dressing up as a man, a woman dressing up as a woman. If you're a pedophile, you are a pedophile. Period. And there's no room for those people damaging our children. And we're living in a place where we're living in a time where it's okay to call a pedophile. Sometimes, I mean, they're even trying to take that word out of it. And, they're trying to legalize adults having sex with children. We're living in a really, really, really dark time, you guys. And there are people that we have to stand, and we have to be warriors. We have to stand for what's right. And, that little saying that you've learned it since probably kindergarten, if throughout your life you haven't pissed somebody off, you're probably doing something wrong. Because if you're so people pleasing that you've never stood in conviction and passion for what you feel is right, then you'll fall for anything, right? And when you're standing in conviction and your passion for what you feel is right, not everybody's going to like that. Not everybody's going to agree with that. So you're bound to piss some people off. And what do you say to those people? Oh, well, right? We have to stand for what we believe is right. So as I was talking to my guides about all of this today, and this messed up agenda that we're seeing, pornography being put in schools, drag queens being paraded into preschools and kindergartens, hypersexualizing our children. I see that for what it is, right? Getting them ready to groom them so that they can be taken advantage of by adult pedophiles. Confuse them, groom them. It's just horrid. It's horrid what we're seeing. If when my son was in 6th grade, there was pornography in his library at school, I would have raised hell with that school. and this is happening all over the school, not just in my state, but in every state across the country. There's some really sick, twisted things going on. And so I wanted to know about this dark agenda. I asked, the first question I said is, please show me a story about this dark agenda, okay? First card up. Got the Knight of Pentacles, right? Now, generally this comes up, this is a good card, but in regards to what I'm asking about a dark agenda, right? So I got the dark workhorse. So this has been something, this dark agenda has been steadily worked on, you guys, for a long time. They've got a lot of work into this. They have put a lot of work and effort into bringing this dark agenda into our communities. Blatantly into our communities, okay? Then across from that, they feel as though most of the work got done without us even noticing. You know that, what is that saying there where, if you want to keep people sidetracked, give them a circus, right? So people are talking about that all the time because they're realizing that we've all been sidetracked because we've been overworked, we've been debt slaves. We just want to come home, put our feet up, have a good meal with our family, watch a little football, right? Give them a circus, keep them sidetracked. So they feel as though they've done a good job sidetracking us and keeping us focused on some things. I'm going to call it the circus, right? While they've brought in this agenda, they feel very, very victorious about it. And this is a 6, so really, really good victories they feel that they've got around this. They worked really hard to bring this into the communities. Really hard, you guys. So then I asked, no. Let me back up, because first I've got to tell you what's driving the reading. So yes, they did a lot of work bringing this dark agenda blatantly into the communities. They were able to do most of it while we had our eyes elsewhere. They were able to bring it in. They feel like it's very victorious, okay? But what's driving the entire reading is that this dark agenda is going to get walked away from passionately. Passionately. So this is something that's going to have to be moved out of the way. This agenda is not going to go through, you guys. Like, we're living through a really hard time right now, but this dark agenda that we're seeing, where they're trying to legalize adults being able to have sex with children, where they're parading, where they're bringing in sexual content into our schools and encouraging it, where children are being made to watch their teachers' sexually explicit TikTok videos. We're seeing it all across the board. We're seeing it terrible. We're seeing a very, very, very dark agenda where they are screwing with our kids. It's not going to go through, you guys. It's going to be walked away from. Not only is it going to be walked away from, it's going to be walked away from passionately, because people like you and I are going to stand up, because we are standing up. I know I am. I know I've pissed some people off, and I don't really care. Because we're going to stand up passionately for what is right. We're going to lead. We're going to lead and not allow these dark agendas to take place, okay? So, and we have lots of mama bears out there. We've got a lot of people that are rallying against all of these dark agendas. There's so many. There's the mandates, there's the masks, there's the pandemic, there's the hypersexualization of our children, there's the indoctrination of our children, there's grooming our children to be good little victims. There's women being degraded and women's sports being infiltrated by transgender women who clearly way stronger than a natural born woman. The list is long. We have men that are in prison for rape, deciding that they want to identify as a woman and being put into women's prisons where, what do you think they're going to do? What do you think they're going to do in there? We have, it's warrior making. It's a warrior making time that we're living in, right? So we're coming forward passionately and we're saying, no, 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 no. This does not fly. So the more of us that speak up and stand in our power and stand in our truth, the better it is. It's saying we need to do this in abundance. We need to lead passionately and in abundance. And because of this, it will get walked away from, you guys. So we really need to stand up. I'm a loudmouth and I stand up, and it's always been okay. It's always been all right for Lori to stand up for the underdog or for the minority that I felt like was getting crapped on, because frankly, I've always lived that middle line, and I've never been too far right and I've never been too far left. I like to walk that center line and build a bridge for people to just love each other and come together and accept each other. Right now, we're living in a really dark time, and there is no bridge that I'm going to build for any friggin' pedophile to rape and molest children. It's just not going to happen. There's no bridge that I'm going to build to allow somebody who's born physically stronger than a natural-born woman to go into, women's sports and fatally injure and critically injure women, while I stand by and say, let's build a bridge here. There's no bridge to build there. Like, some people need to get their own teams, just like women had to get their own teams, just like we had to make our own teams, So there's just no bridge there, you guys. And I can't build a bridge to people's detriment and harm. I just can't do that. So I'm standing up and I'm standing out, and, I'm making people mad. And that's just, oh, well, too bad, right? I'm passionate about it. I'm especially passionate about these kids. So we have to stand in our power passionately, in abundance, and lead, yes, with love, but we've got to lead. We've got to say no so that this agenda is walked away from. We have to be leaders. We have to be passionate leaders, and we have to come together in abundance, because they've done a lot of work, you guys, to bring this stuff into our communities, to sneak it in while most people weren't even watching. They're very victorious in where they're at right now. They've won a lot of battles, you guys. They've won a lot of battles. So I said, how in the world did it get so out of control? Like, I really wanted to know, how is it that that people can rally for pedophiles? And how is it that people can rally in this, or not say anything, even though they don't rally? How can they sit quietly back? I wanted to know, how can you sit quietly back if you're not rallying for them? And how can you rally for the dark agenda that we are blatantly seeing going on in the world right now? And I look at this, all swords. So it's all been mind control, you guys. They have been messing with people's heads. And we've seen that during the COVID thing. Like, oh, if you don't wear your mask, you don't care. If you don't get your shot, you don't care. These people don't care. So it's all been mind control. I mean, it's all been via the mind. They've come in with words, and they've implanted thoughts, and they've done this repetitively. I mean, they fought like hell to make sure that the right things were being said. The right indoctrination was in place, making people believe that by accepting these things, they're doing the right thing for particular communities. Like, by accepting these things, particular communities are being moved out of harm's way, making it seem as though there was more harm intended to these particular people than actually was. Getting everybody to just sort of surrender to this idea. It's all been brainwashing. It's all been done through the mind. Getting people to surrender to an idea that these things are okay. Or not daring to say anything at all, right? Because they're afraid they're afraid they'll be called hateful or bigots, or, they're afraid of being name called. They don't want to rock the boat because, they're afraid to speak out because of all the division and all the hatefulness that comes from somebody having a different opinion. And, right now, when you try to speak out about this pedophilia and this pornography in our schools, and, what's being done to women in women's sports, and like all of these things, Boy, it's a touchy subject, and it really shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be, but it's all through indoctrination, you guys. So they've worked really hard to do this. They've worked really hard to do this. So then I said, okay, so there's our story. They've done a lot of work and they feel pretty victorious about it. They snuck it in. They really worked hard for this. But, this can all be walked away from. The energy drive in this is walking away from that dark agenda as long as we stand up and we lead with passion and virtue and righteousness, and we do that in abundance. The King of Wands, remember, he always leads with the highest and greatest good for all. So you've got to lead with that intention, the highest and greatest good for all. It's not standing to be hateful. It's standing to be protective. It's standing to do the right thing for those that don't have the voice to stand, right? And, more of us need to come out in abundance, because this is an abundance, having an abundance of card. So then I said, okay, so go ahead and show me a story about the walking away, like about us being victorious and, saving our children and moving us out of this dark agenda. Show me how this is happening today, right? So I got that, I got the higher arcana card, I got temperance. So we've got divine energy on our side, for one thing, because divine energy doesn't want children being abused. And this is the Great Awakening. And look, there's an enlightenment going on around the head. So many have awakened. Many are on their spiritual path. Many are finding their way through their heart. So indoctrination isn't as easy if you're leading from your heart all the time and working on that steadily, right? So we have spirit on our side helping to alchemize this energy, believe it or not. But because we've had such contrast, it's caused a lot of us to hyper-focus on this journey. So we're seeing this dark agenda. So even though they snuck things in on us, right? They had us focus in here and they snuck a lot of stuff in on us. At this point in time, we've seen enough and we've been awakened enough so that we're hyper-focusing on this dark agenda. We see it clearly. Many of us do. Many of us are stopping and we're really going within and we're thinking, what can we do? Because we see our society crumbling, and we see the detriment that this dark agenda is causing in the world with our societies. So basically there's an enlightenment going on and people are coming too, and that this is how we're standing up. And in more and more abundance, I would assume, with this enlightenment that's happening, that's causing more people to actually start to focus on this and sit with it a little bit and really feel their way through it. And then, start to see the detriment that's happening in our communities through this division and hate. And what's happening to our children, and how people don't dare to speak up because you have people saying that you can't say anything against a minority group. And apparently, if you're a pedophile and you belong to a minority group, you're okay, I guess. So not in my book, but in many, apparently. So there's this whole death and rebirth that's going on right now. And when that happens, it really does cause a line in the sand. It causes a line in the sand. And people will move to one side or the other, and I always say, choose wisely. That's what I tell people all the time. Really, really go within and choose wisely. Choose wisely. Really choose wisely. Try not to choose because you're being indoctrinated, but really go within. Touch our souls. Really go within. And then take our stand, right? Take our stand with the highest and greatest good for all. With intentions, right? So we're going through this death and this rebirth. And through this death and this rebirth, we're going to create bonds again. So even though we're seeing a lot of division, we're also seeing a lot of coming together, sharing and caring. Communities are going to be built on caring for each other, protecting each other. Again, let's remember, it goes back to this leadership and passion and abundance. An abundance of people leading and, with passion. So yeah, we're going to see people coming together. We're going to see helpfulness happen and people working together, creating celebrations and communities, because we've felt, we're we're nearing the end of this cycle that has felt oppressive to us in many ways. You guys, this cycle has been going on for a long time. They've just been throwing a new dime in the pond, every time you turn around. So we've gotten built up to this degree of things by doing this, by being focused on things that don't matter while things are being snuck in. So this cycle has been happening. It's been building for a long time, you guys. But this is the thing. Through this beating up and through this breaking point, this death and this rebuilding, death and rebirth, through this indoctrination that we see, the way that they've hit communities, things that are happening with our children and with our women, it's given us, it's motivating us to fight passionately and with honor, right? And I said, will this help bring even more people together? The more blatant and out in the open this seems to get, and the more people are like cleared from the brainwashing effects, right? The more that happens, does that mean more of us will stand together and stand together and stand together? And I got a yes. I got the Ace of Cups on that one, you guys. So quite a story around the dark agenda, but it's saying it was all done through manipulation of the mind. So it's all brainwashing techniques, getting people to surrender to a certain way of being and thinking that by having this way of thinking that they're actually protecting people and doing the right thing and being kind and caring. And we've seen that a lot, right? Like I said earlier, wear your mask or you don't care. Get your jab or you don't care. So people don't dare to speak out necessarily. A lot of them won't dare to speak out because they're afraid it will make them look uncaring. And, they'll probably get accused of that by different groups of people. But you have to stand true in what's in your heart. We have to protect these kids. We have to protect kids. We have to protect life. We have to protect the innocence. We really do, first and foremost. Even before, I'm a woman and I'm very passionate about protecting women because I've been through a lot personally in my life. And, our world still isn't perfect as far as women, women still go through a lot. We still go through a lot. We have a lot more freedoms and liberties than we once did. But now we're seeing those sort of be snagged away from us, right? Far above protecting women, children, to me is the main priority. I'm a mother. I'm an aunt. I've raised a neighborhood of children. I love children. They're our future. If we have healthy children, we have healthy adults. And, we've got to protect these kids. They deserve to be able to have childhoods, right? Innocent childhoods. So, it's just a lot of indoctrination going on. We got to be the warriors. We got to do it with honor. As the awakening happens, the veil lifts, the energy shifts, people start to be enlightened and they start to see a little clearly, which makes them take a step back and really think about it. And then they look at what's happening to society and they see clearly what's going on with this whole death and rebirth and these lines that are being drawn. And it's actually making people want to come together in like safe communities, I believe, and work together, right? And celebrate together because of this battle that we've gone through where we've literally we've been super taken advantage of and, super beat up in this road. Your average person has. So we're coming together passionate we're ready to fight with passion. And yes, stand together strong. So I also believe that a lot of the work that will be done will be creating maybe smaller school systems, parents coming together, trustworthy parents coming together, creating some homeschooling things where everybody gets to be involved, alternatives to these indoctrinated schools that are promoting hypersexualizing our children and other perverted things. So I think that's probably one of the things. There's been a lot of groups that have come together to stand up for one another in our bodily autonomy and sovereignty when it comes to the other things that we've seen over the last couple of years. Now it's really time for us to like step up, because they're injecting our children, and they're trying to do that against the parents' will. And let's not forget, there's a lot of indoctrination. They're trying to do that against the parents' will. They're saying that children should be able to make adult decisions, like whether or not they want to get the V, whether or not they want to undergo surgeries that would change them forever. They're saying that children should have the right to make the adult decision whether or not to have sex with adults. This is demonic. This is evil. It's gone too far. We got to get this walked away from by us standing up, being leaders, and using our voices in abundance, with only the highest and greatest good for all you guys. So anyways, this has been something that weighs really heavy on my shoulders. It's something that my son and myself and my boyfriend talk about pretty frequently. We have some very deep concerns for what's going on these days with this dark agenda. And so I wanted to do a reading on it, you guys. And here we have it. We've got to come together. We will be coming together more and more. We're going to be coming together, but this is quite an unusual time, and when I said, are we coming together in passion, passionately, coming together to fight passionately for one another. We have to stand up for each other during this, as we stand up for our kids, because when we stand up, we're getting torn down. So we have to stand up passionately, have each other's backs. And I got the yes. Yes, we are going to be fighting passionately and coming together, for one another, all of us, on the side of our children. It's going to be a lot of us. There's a lot of indoctrination out there, but we already have some, and we will gain more as people continue to wake up and really start to see what truly is happening here. All right, you guys, so I hope that you found a little value in this. If you did, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the all notifications, comment. If you found some value, it helps us to beat the algorithm. And remember that there's always the healing intention. So stand in your power and decree that you want this healing for only your highest and greatest good, only and always, right? And until next time, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'm sending you all so much love, so much healing, and so many blessings. Until next time, guys, take care.